Alrighty guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a little bit and I've got something to share with you today. I want to talk about ADHD and 5 signs that you might have it and why I think I have it, and then kind of why I'm bringing this up. Quick disclaimer, not a doctor or professional here, so none of this is legit advice. It's just me talking and reflecting, so take that into account. So basically, ADHD is called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. You can look it up or whatever, but it's characterized by kind of 5 main things. So we're going to get into what those are. I'm going to talk about kind of my experience with those things, and then also why this realization or this kind of diagnosis can be both helpful and unhelpful, and then what I think you can do about it constructively and what I'm trying to do about it. And then the final thing is kind of how this fits in with overall just kind of lifestyle improvement and lifestyle design, how this can kind of be a clue to maybe what might be missing in your sort of healing or improvement journey in terms of overcoming kind of whatever kind of frustrations, anxieties, or like things in your life. I think this is kind of a really important piece to put it all together. So let's get into it. So I just hopped on YouTube, typed in 5 signs that you have ADHD. I got this video with like 3 million views, and I just went through it and made kind of some quick notes of what these things are. So let's run through them right now. So we got number 1 is childhood history of the symptoms of kind of the things, and they mentioned mood swings, depression, and an inability to focus. Okay, so we've got that. We've got kind of a history of it, right? Number 2 is a short attention span, which kind of characterizes this thing. And they say here, and we'll get into this, but they say, oh, there's like kind of no explanation. You can't focus for very long. So you might be hyper focused. You might be not focused, or you might be hyper focused, but either way, it's like a short attention span that you can't sort of sustain, or you can't balance out. It's just like it's here and then it's gone. Next, we got number 3 is leaving things unfinished. So that doesn't really need any explanation. Unfinished projects, putting things off to the sidelines, not being able to complete tasks, that kind of thing. Number 4, poor impulse control. Speaking of impulse, I can barely get my finger up there, but number 4, there, 4. Number 4 is poor impulse control. So doing things you don't really want to do, acting without any foresight, or risky behaviors. So yeah, that's just kind of like, maybe you shouldn't do something, and obviously everybody does this, but it's kind of like that. You almost don't know why you're doing things sometimes, but you're just doing them even if they aren't in your best interest. And then number 5 is an inability to get organized. You can't really meet deadlines or keep priorities straight, or even know how to prioritize things. So I've known about this for a while, and I don't have a formal diagnosis, and I also don't really have a desire to go get one, but I'm pretty sure I could. Just going through these things and kind of observing kind of my life and my experience, it's kind of all there, and I can see those pieces and how they kind of have played out over time. So that's kind of interesting, and a lot of people I think have that experience when they read about it. But this is what gets interesting is I think almost anybody can read through those symptoms and be like, yes, I have this. Obviously some people more extreme than others, and I'm not discounting that some people are almost unable to function because of these symptoms manifesting so strongly. But I really believe still that this is just a label that we give to behaviors that we've developed and learned, and coping mechanisms, and that label can be helpful, and we can have interventions to deal with it. But I think it's just part of the human experience to operate in this way. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because there's 2 things that I've kind of landed on recently that have helped inform kind of a constructive response to this. And this goes back to how I feel about a lot of these mental illness labels or diagnoses or things like that. And that is that the diagnosis is only helpful insofar as it groups together symptoms and puts a name on it. You're still stuck with it, and you got to do something about it. And what's kind of neat is I discovered recently this theory of kind of like it's like it's called the farmer versus the hunter mentality. And what it's kind of suggests in relation to ADHD is that people with these symptoms actually evolved more as like hunters rather than farmers. They're more evolutionary evolved for sort of a hunter-gatherer lifestyle as opposed to the regulation of a farming lifestyle, which is kind of what society is now. So the hunter gatherer is like super intense hunts, and then it's like resting and chilling, and then it's like going to find food, and then it's like it's all these sort of broken up, intense, and then less intense periods of inactivity that are highly kind of unregulated. They just happen when they need to happen. So the idea is that we evolved that way, and a lot of us still have those characteristics. The farmer, on the other hand, is very regulated. It's very scheduled. It's do this for a certain amount of time, plant the crops, spend this amount of time doing it. The day's punctuated by things on either end, and a lot of these routines. And obviously now with like society, we function very much in that, even when we don't realize it. Like school, work, coffee breaks, get this degree by this age, learn this at this time. It's all like slotted in. So as soon as someone doesn't fit into that very well, or they don't function, and they're getting like depressed, they're getting frustrated with that system, they feel like they're failing, then it's like, boom, ADHD. Instead of like, let's see what's going on here, it's like, how can we fit you into that like square hole? If you're, round or whatever, how can we fit you in and make you match up with the way that we've got things set up now? So for kids, that's like school. How can we make sure we can fit you into this thing that's not working? Instead of like, how can we help you, or how can you help yourself like make the most of this way that you're kind of acting or behaving, or kind of just the way you are? It's like, how can we force that? Like, can we use a medication? Can we do something so that you can like adapt to this other thing, right? And so that's kind of the model we have. Whereas like, what's interesting is that kind of cuts off all the advantages usually as well. And I say advantages because I think this is kind of the key piece here that I want to end on. And that key piece is that there's actually a lot of advantages to this sort of hunter-gatherer ADHD mindset, but you need to set your life up in a different way. So a lot of the things that I've been sort of thinking about and working on, and it started with, reading a lot. The carnivore diet was really helpful for me, and the keto diet, and being in a state of ketosis and a high fat diet, and using my diet almost as like a way to optimize this has been very helpful. And I've got videos about that. But after that, I realized like even when you can stabilize yourself, you still need to set your life up in such a way that you can optimize this way of like this kind of way of being. And I think that's really crucial when it comes down to like what you do for a living, like the activities you set up in your life, and what you have going on. I think you need a variety of things going on. I think you need to be playful with your goals, and you need to have ways of doing things that are actually less structured but still create stability in your life. And it's taken me like a long time to figure this out, and I still haven't by any means like made it happen. And I've talked a little bit about different things that kind of I've done in my life in terms of outside of just this kind of carnivore diet stuff, like with career, with making money, with creativity, with figuring different things out, because I've never been able to kind of conceptualize staying in the same office or the same building or the same career, the same job. I need to be doing different things. I need to be talking, problem solving, building things with my hands, and it's kind of like this big like mess almost, but I need to kind of be doing these things in order to feel fulfilled, in order to feel like alive, in order to feel actually happy. And that's the piece that kind of comes after maybe some of the personal work, like some of the diet stuff, some of the meditation or exercise. You can get these ducks in a row, but we're not just trying to set up like stability here. It's like the order and the chaos that Jordan Peterson talks about. Like, we need to be excited. We need to be on the edge. We need to be in that excitement. And another thing I want to connect and refer you to, if you want to learn more about this kind of other approach to ADHD, is this clip from Joe Rogan where he had this addiction specialist, Gabor Mate, on, who's a brilliant guy. And if you've had any encounters with addiction or even just mental illness or emotional struggles, like, you got to check this guy out. But this clip I'll link up down below, where he talks about how ADHD develops as a response when we're children or babies, picking up stress signals from our parents. And one thing I do know is that when I was a baby, I would not stop crying unless my mom was like standing up with me. Like, if she sat down or lay down and held me, I would cry. she had to be moving around. And I don't know what that was or what response to stress that was, but I feel like that is a behavior that was encoded in me and is still being there. It's still there to this day. I have a really hard time slowing down or stopping or even relaxing until maybe just a few years ago. I could never even I felt like I couldn't relax. I needed to be doing something. I needed to be on the move. I needed to be distracting myself. But in this clip, he talks about um, how when things are too stressful when we're babies, when we pick up on these stresses from our parents, we start to tune out from what's going on because we can't really handle it. We can't handle the stress, and we shouldn't handle the stress. But all we can do is tune out, which leads to to the distraction. And he goes on to say that when someone's brought into him with ADHD, he doesn't prescribe medication right away necessarily. He says there's stresses that have to be fixed in the kid's environment. Only that's going to fix it. It's like stressors around the person, and only when those stressors are dealt with are you going to be able to kind of thrive and function better. And that's kind of like the final piece, because whether it's your job or the lifestyle maybe you're trying to force yourself into, or a relationship, or whatever it is, you're trying to be like a certain way, you're going to end up putting yourself in a box, and it's going to continue to create that stress that's going to exacerbate the disadvantages of this condition or way of being. And what we want to do is have the stability to relieve that stress, which could be flexibility in your job, being able to work at home or in different places maybe, or do different things in your job. So we've got the stability piece, but then the exciting part is, what can we do to make the most of this? How can you get excited about your ability to it could be a superpower, like be super creative for a little bit, then do something different, go exercise, or do like play some sports, and then draw, and then make a video, and then work on your business for a little bit. It sounds a little bit crazy, but that is, I believe, the way to kind of make the most of this. And it's something that I'm still figuring out. So let me know in the comments if you've had this experience, if this makes any sense to you, and I will see you guys in the next video. I will also let you guys know kind of more specifically what I'm doing, because this can be frustrating from like a career point of view, or from like a lifestyle design. It's like, well, what does this look like? And it can look pretty messy, but I'd be happy to share some of the things I'm doing in terms of working on a few different small businesses and some freelancing, and kind of mixing it all together and trying to have this lifestyle design that is exciting, it's enjoyable, and it uses these things to build yourself up, to build others up, instead of putting yourself in a box and kind of closing it on top of you. So thanks so much for watching this Real Life Ed. My name's Ben, and appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.